Please be seated. The sitting is open. The court meets today and will meet in the coming days to hear the oral observations of the parties on the request for the indication of provisional measures submitted by the Republic of the Gambia in the case concerning application of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, the Gambia versus Myanmar. The Gambia has chosen Mrs. Nava Nedem Pillai and Myanmar, Mr. Klaus Kress. You have the floor.
I solemnly declare that I will perform my duties and exercise my powers as judge honorably, faithfully, impartially, and conscientiously.
I thank you. I now invite Mr. Kress to make the solemn declaration prescribed in the statute. You have the floor.
Je déclare solennellement que je remplirai mes devoirs et exercerai mes attributions de juge en tout honneur et dévouement, en pleine et parfaite impartialité et en toute conscience.
Je vous remercie. In manifest violation of the Genocide Convention and that they are all. The registrar will now read out the passage from the request specifying the provisional measures which the government of the Gambia is asking the court to indicate. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I quote, A. Myanmar shall immediately, in pursuance of its undertaking in the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide.
I now give the floor to the agent of the Gambia, His Excellency Mr. Abubakar Mari Tambadou. You have the floor, sir.
Mr. President, honorable judges, it is an honor to address you today as the agent of the Republic of the Gambia after me in the following sequence, and to arouse the voice of the international community. See the looks of fear, of despair, of desperation, and of destruction. The looks of victims of a modern-day genocide. Unified life in freedom and peace. To give Rohingya children the opportunity to laugh and play football or volley.
I now invite Professor Akavan to take the floor. You have the floor.
Mr. President, distinguished members of the court, it is a privilege to appear on behalf of the Gambia in this case of exceptional importance. 16 September 2019, the UN mission's conclusion on Myanmar's continuing genocidal intent and the serious risk of genocidal actions recurring, that the actions of those who orchestrated the attacks on the Rohingya chief, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing.
I now invite Mr. Lowenstein to take the floor. You have the floor.
Mr. President, members of the court, it is a special honor to appear before you in this most serious of cases. The Tatmadaw next turned to the women and children. Some children were shot. Other children were thrown onto a fire.
I invite Mrs. Patsi Panoja to take the floor. You have the floor, Madam.
Mr. President, members of the court, good morning. It is an honor for me to appear before you on behalf of the Republic of the Gambia. Further acts of genocide and foretells the risk of more violations of the Genocide Convention from Myanmar. And this has caused them great suffering.
The sitting is adjourned. I will now give the floor to Mr. Arsalan Soleiman. You have the floor.
Mr. President, members of the court, it is an honor to appear before you and to represent the Gambia in these proceedings.
J'invite maintenant le professeur Pierre Dargent à prendre la parole. Vous avez la parole.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, Madame la Vice-présidente, Mesdames et Messieurs les juges, c'est un grand honneur pour moi de prendre la parole devant la Cour et de le faire aujourd'hui à l'appui de la noble cause soutenue par la Gambie.
Et je donne la parole à présent à Monsieur Paul Reichler. Vous avez la parole.
Mr. President, members of the court, good afternoon. It is, as always, an honor for me to appear before you. This time, it is both a special privilege and a grave responsibility.
I now invite Professor Sandys to take the floor. You have the floor.
Mr. President, Madam Vice President, members of the court, it is a privilege, albeit a regrettable one, to appear before you on behalf of the Gambia on this application concerning the crime of...
I thank Professor Sandys. Your statement indeed brings to an end today's sitting. The court will meet again tomorrow, 11 December 2019, at 10 a.m. to hear the first round of oral observations of Myanmar. The sitting is adjourned.